One Life podcast, brought to you by One Life Fully Lived, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping you learn how to dream, plan, and live your best life. Let's begin today's show. What's going on, everybody? We appreciate you joining us for the One Life Fully Lived podcast. We have a treat in store today for this month's episode. And before I introduce you to this guy, he is one of the most influential, loving, caring, authentic, transparent guys that I know, and I've got to know him over the last year and a half, 2 years, and we're going to be diving into some great content today that I think you guys can relate to on your own personal entrepreneurial journeys and leveling up in certain areas of your life. So please help me welcome Mr. Steve Napolitan.
Thank you so much, Matt, for having me on the show. I'm excited. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. I think we always have a lot of fun, so I'm sure this is going to be an amazing little ride here.
We do, man. Yeah, that's I think the beauty in really these spontaneous convos that we have is they just lead into beautiful conversations. So what's new with you, man? What's going on?
Well, I think the newest thing here in 2016 is that I finished my book, and we did the pre-launch in January. And the book hit #1 in 4 countries, in the UK, Canada, the United States, and Australia. And the pour out of love has just been amazing. I mean, from the people that are following me and that I've been able to impact their life, I mean, without them, that wouldn't have been possible, first of all. And then second, it's just crazy the perception that changes, because I feel like I'm the same guy. I'm doing the same thing. I've been really teaching and helping entrepreneurs and C-level executives the last 5 to 7 years. And I've always known I needed to get my book done. It's going to elevate me to the next level. But it's only been a month, and I can't tell you, like every day someone's calling, hey, can we interview you? Like more radio shows, podcasts, speaking engagements, like all of these things are happening. And some people, this is the funniest part, I already knew them. So it's like, hey, wait a minute, I'm still the same Steve just because I put my words on paper. It makes that much of a difference. And I'm grateful for it, but it is crazy that it's like being an author, the perception change that occurs just from doing that. So
yeah, that's kind of crazy. I mean, you almost, by being published now, you've kind of created this whole new authority around what you already knew and embodied, right?
Absolutely. And I think what gave me the success prior was that I was already an award-winning marketer. I've, spoken internationally, so there was some accolades that treated me well, but I have to say none of those can even touch what's occurred just in the last month from being now an author. So it's that much different. Is what I'm feeling.
So Tell me a little bit about, you touched on a word that I just thought was kind of interesting, is how has your perception changed through this whole experience? Because like you were, like you said, I'm still the same old Steve.
Yeah.
And yet now that, people are somewhat treating you differently or, giving you more exposure or opportunity in this space, how has your perception changed?
Thanks for asking that. It's a great question because I'll have to say it was a surreal moment again, like when it all happened. I mean, so there I was, I've been working hard on this book, and I finally got a coach in August of last year, and that sped everything up because, they knew everything that I needed to do. They've already have 7 best-selling books, so like they have the process down, and so I was able to do it. But during that process, you're like working, just getting it done. And then the day that we pre-launched, that's when everything went kind of crazy, right? And it was all exciting and the pour out of love. And the next day I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I'm a published author. It did hit you. It like hit me a little bit. It's like, okay, so now every day that I wake up, I'm an author, right? Like it's a new thing. You can't take that back. It's going to be there the rest of my life. And so I did have a moment of like reflection and saying, okay, I did this, like, awesome. And it was something that I was working on for so long. So my perception is that, hey, Steve, you did it. You finally got it done. And so it's a sense of accomplishment, fulfillment, and knowing it's going to propel me in the right direction to help more people. So I was just so also filled with gratitude for all the people that have already really gained from what I've been able to give, and now being able to put those words on paper and at a low cost. Because see, the thing about a book is it is a low cost. So, for people that are eager and they're going to pick it up and read it, and, it could change lives, it will change lives. And so that really hits my heart, because now I'm going to be able to influence more people in a good way. And it's just exciting all the way around. So I think that's a range of emotions that I've just laid down, but they were all there. It wasn't like one thing. It was like, wow, you're just filled up in so many different ways,
Have you always wanted to write a book?
I don't know about like all of my life. I did, I just have this memory. I don't know how old I was, maybe like 7 or 8 years old. And I don't know why I wrote this, but I did write in a notebook once. I said, I want to be known before I die. I did write that down, and I didn't know what that would mean. I'm Italian descent, and I had another neighbor that was Italian, and she was this little Italian. My friend's mom was this little Italian lady, and she took me aside one time, and I was another crazy moment, because all my friends were playing, and then there I am with this adult, right? Like, you think I'd want to like run off, but somehow she captivated me, and she she was telling me, she's like, I have these feelings about you. You're either going to be a speaker or a preacher. And to this day, I don't know, did she like influence me, or did she really know? I think maybe it was a little bit of both,
Right.
a little bit of both, right? But so those things were there. And I didn't put the author to it until I got into the business. And then I'm like, all the speakers I know that have propelled to the level that I'd like to go to, where I can make a greater impact on the world, they're all authors. So that was the perspective of like, hey, Steve, you've got to do this. Like you said a minute ago, it's like that added credibility, that you have. And so, yeah, so I think I think it's a mix. Like, I knew I wanted to be out there in the public and help people, but the author thing didn't register until like the last 5-6 years. So, yeah.
Nice,
yeah.
man. And, there's probably a lot of people in our One Life community, and I know I've spoken with some of them, that feel that they want to write a book, or it's something that, they aspire to eventually do and share on a space or, a passion of theirs. But sometimes they're kind of scared to like really get that going. Did you experience any kind of fears or writer's block or limiting beliefs as you were heading into this process?
The way to best describe it is, yes, I mean, there was definitely ups and downs, because this was like a 2-year process for me, or a little bit more than that. And
I want people to understand that, though, because some people think it just happens overnight. I mean, a lot of the authors I've talked to, this is a 2, 5, even 10-year process for some of these people.
Absolutely. Well, and if I go all the way back to the idea that I was going to do it, it would be like 5 years. But then I think I started to take it more serious like 2 years ago, and I can tell you that it wasn't happening. Like, everything was turning against you. You're like, okay, I've got to focus on my business here. I want to grow this. Like all these distractions, and yeah, if it's not going the way you want it, you shut it off. Like, okay, and really what it came down to was I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I have all these stories in my head, I have all these lessons in my head, but I had never written a book. And even I'm a filmmaker too. I went to film school. I did 2 feature films and a TV show, but the book is still different. I'm thinking, oh, I got this, I can do this. And I kept telling myself that. And then, I had the realization last August, so August of 2015, I was like, wait a minute, time out. What do I teach everyone in my courses? And what have I learned in my life? And that is that everything that I do that's new, I get a mentor, I get a coach. And that's even the reason I'm here with you right now, and even the things that you and I have been able to talk about over the years, is because I learned it from other people. And I spent the first decade as an entrepreneur trying to figure it out myself. And it's almost kind of like that thing, you're like smart enough to get things going, but then you don't have all the wherewithal to like really make it happen, to like have the ultimate success that you want, which was having a higher quality life and having more time. I was just grinding and grinding. And it wasn't until I got a mentor that I figured these things out. And some of the things I'm like, man, I knew that, but it was having that outside perspective and someone to guide you. And so fast forward to the book, back to your question, is that it was in August, I was like, what am I doing? Like, it's like, I've learned this lesson before. Here I am in a new space, and here I am trying to give it a go by myself. And so I called one of my friends that I've known for quite a while, but had really escalated in the book space. And he had 7 number one bestsellers. He even has his 8-year-old daughter. He helped her become a number one bestseller. And she's on her 2nd book, and they're making a movie on one of her books already. And so
Wow.
it was, yeah, it's like crazy. So I'm like, I call him and I'm like, Trevor, all right, brother, I'm at your mercy. Like I want this book done. I promised myself I would finish in 2015, and I don't feel like I'm close at all, and it's already August. And I was like, basically help me. And
Little accountability there.
absolutely. And even where the accountability happens, every time I hire a coach and I have to dish out money, like, I like to make money, but I also like to keep money. And so like when I put my money down, like just the fact of that escalated the whole project. But then he was a master at it. Like he told me everything to do week by week. So I didn't have to think about it. It wasn't like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Okay, let me try to write or do this, like make it up in my own mind. He said, okay, this week you're going to do this. This week you're going to do this. This week you're going to do, and and is that okay with you? Okay, like what do what's working, what's not working, and then just guiding me the whole way, and we're still working together. And yeah, to me, the first thing he told me, just one thing to add to this, is that I had 2 books in one. I was pouring so much content into there because I wanted to give so much value. He said, this is too much. Like, this is like, you don't need your first book to be like this epic prologue of your whole life and everything. He said, just have one concept, one thing, and what is it that most people want? And from all of my conclusions, it's people want to gain more clients. So that's why I focused on that part of the book. How do you capture clients and close deals without convincing or chasing? And how is it a simple process? And so I focused on that. So I have half another book already done. So like next year, I could probably finish another book.
That's amazing, man. Okay,
yeah.
So I heard a handful of things in there.
Yeah, there
was so one, you had a good team and support system around you, which really was your coach, and that kind of added a whole new level of accountability, which we know, accountability helps elevate people to take action because there's really no place to hide in accountability. And then you also had a schedule around it for, kind of some milestones in what you guys were writing. And then your coach really helped you narrow in on one focus that you could do a deep dive in. So instead of trying to touch on multiple topics, you were really getting some specialized content out there in the book. Does that sound right?
That's right. And then the only thing I would add to that is that he also had the path. Like, so it's like a map, like it's like I was going on a journey up a hill and like this mega hike, right? Like you're hiking up and you don't know the way, like, and you get caught in the water and drift back down the mountain and over, and you're just taking so much time. And, in perspective, Trevor Crane, my book mentor, he basically knew the path. He could get up to the top of the hill in one day. And I'm like spending multiple days, like, what the hell? Like, how do you get past the thorny bushes? And he's like, you just go this way, and I'm like, beautiful, woo! so it's like, that's the piece that's probably most important to me, because we, as entrepreneurs and business owners, and even in life, we always try to figure it out, suck it up, never give up. And you know what? There's somebody else that's already gone on this path. They know every rock, every river, every way that, to avoid and how to get there. And it collapses time. Like, I was able to pretty much do almost all of my book from August to January and get it done. And all that other time, looking back in it now, like, yeah, there was some work that was done, but the majority of it was like ill-formed, and that path is what actually skyrocketed it. And then you have the accountability and, the fact that you put money at it and you had focus and all the things you said, but I think the path was the most important thing.
Dude, finding a mentor can really shorten the learning curve or the journey, or at least help you be more focused and intentional when you're on that journey. Yep. So when you started diving into the book, and I know you have an insane amount of knowledge and experience in the marketing world, what was it that had you choose this one specific topic?
Well, one thing that I teach that I think you've heard me say before, the number one thing, so here's how simple business is, and this is why it comes back to the book. my whole business philosophy is that business is simple, and we're delusional. I'm delusional. We make things more complicated. And so I boiled it down to the simple fact. In business, in any business, well, and first of all, you're in the people business. It doesn't matter what business you're in. It's all about people, right? Like we're all doing that. So in that manner, we have to find our perfect client. Who are those people? Then we ask them what they want, and then you give it to them. And that's it. Like that's how simple it is. It's 3 steps. Find your perfect client that you love, that you're going to wake up every day and want to go hang out with those people. Who are they? Ask them what they want, and then give it to them. And so to answer your question, like how did I decide which book to lead with out of my content was I asked all of my clients, my followers, people coming to my courses, what is the number one thing that you need? And it came back over and over. I need to learn how to gain clients. I need to capture clients. I'm not going to survive if I don't have enough business. And then I feel like a salesperson. Like I started this because I love this business, but I don't want to be a hard car salesman. In fact, it revolts me. So I've overcome that with thousands of people. I've taught them it doesn't have to be that way, and so that's the book. And that's because that's the first thing everyone comes to me with. If you're a brand new business, you need clients. If you're a business already, but you're not as successful as you like, you probably need more clients. So it really comes down to like that first step, and then how do you do it simply without convincing or chasing, like so you don't have to be that hard sales guy or gal.
That makes a lot of sense. And now as you continue to try and build exposure, I was noticing you were doing a lot of stuff on social media. You were really getting engagement from your audience. You were asking people to, give reviews. What are some of the, what are 1 or 2 or 3 strategies that you feel have been very influential in getting the book the exposure that it's gotten, and how you're capitalizing on that for next steps moving forward?
Absolutely. So the first thing is including your audience. So the first thing is, and I even put this on my Facebook, Instagram, I published it out there on my blog as well. I put out there, I said, okay, I'm coming. This is when I was really getting all the pieces together of the book at the end of last year. I said, okay, I want to know what's the greatest challenge right now, and what's your biggest goal right now. I want to survey you, because my whole book is about asking people what they want and then giving it to them. So here I am. And so I engaged my audience right away with the same tools that I teach. So it's like really practicing what I preach. And that got the engagement started. People started like chiming in and connecting with me and direct messaging me and all kinds of stuff, and just like loaded. And then just keeping them up to date on what's going on, periodically, so that they're included in the whole thing. And then a big thing that I also teach, I call it, when it comes to social media, I say stop singing in the shower. And what that means is, so many people on social media, they go onto their page, they go onto their blog, and they're just posting. And the fact is that guess who's hearing you? The people that already like you, which is great, you're taking care of them, but it's kind of like singing in the shower. If you sing in your shower, who hears you?
You.
Yeah, you.
Maybe your wife who's telling you to shut up.
Yeah, maybe a loved one, and maybe the neighbor if you're that crazy. But but the fact is, it's a small group, and this is where people find like, hey, I'm not getting more likes on my page. Well, guess what you have to do? You have to get off your page. You have to go out to other communities that you're already a part of, or go get involved in other communities and start posting things out there. And so I also do that. And so then you're getting things out there, and you're like sharing love. And so, and I always give gifts. You're not going there to sell, you're just giving gifts. And if you just focus on that, people will come back to you. And so it was all of that. And then keeping them up to date on the process. When's things going to happen? Okay, my book launch is going to be on Tuesday. Everyone get excited. I'm going to I'm going to lower the price of the book just for the day that we launch. And, just building all that, a launch day, like building up that anticipation, just like a record would be released or a movie would be released. you're just building up as much anticipation as you can, and then launching.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do this. Hal Elrod was another one that I've asked, some similar questions to, and seen how some of the top authors out there right now have built that authority and kind of momentum behind their culture or their brand. And you said it. I mean, including your audience, I think, is such an important piece because it gives them some ownership in this creative process with you. And when you get to build that camaraderie with your community, you are building your ambassadors for your brand that are going to go out and shout from the mountaintops about how amazing Steve's new book is and that you got to go and get it.
Absolutely. Seth Godin, another marketing author, he always says, he calls them sneezers, like they're going to sneeze it out, everyone has their own vocabulary, but the thing that you're exactly correct. And just one thing that I thought of when I was listening to you say that is that this is always the way to be. Like, so if you're speaking, include your audience. There's nothing worse than a speaker coming up and just delivering their content and not connecting with the audience, not asking questions, not getting in and figuring out, is this the message that they need? Like, I'm constantly asking my audience, are you getting value from this? Or, what's most important to you? Shout it out. Like, you can even start a speaking engagement with a whiteboard and a marker and have people shout out their biggest problems. And then if you have the content to help them with that, or you ask about the specific areas. So if you're going to talk about marketing, what is your challenge in marketing? You can write it all down and then start including that in your presentation. That inclusion is going to skyrocket your results, even when you're on a one-on-one. Like, find out what that person sitting across from you really needs before you start the meeting. Before, not after. Like, how did this meeting go for you? Well, I wish we would have talked about this. Dang it! I wish I would have asked earlier. Like that. It's so just always, always, always asking, and that's actually even part of the book because that's the point. Like, be human. Like, don't go in and pitch, make an offer before you even know what the other person wants. I mean, then you made it your whole job harder. You just made it harder.
Yeah. Well, I think too one thing you embody and what a lot of very successful people who have great reach and, connections with their audience or followers is a very high emotional IQ. And I mean that differently from an intellectual IQ. From the emotional IQ standpoint, you are aware of what others need and how you're going to be able to connect and add value to them. And that's just one small piece of it, but it sounds like, from what you're doing, that's one of the angles that you're kind of taking in.
Matt, you're totally right. And actually, I would say it's not one small part. It's actually the part. It's more important than anything that you're doing. If we're not, it's like what I just said a few minutes ago. It's if you're not connecting with other human beings, then you're gonna have trouble in your business. Like, this is a human experience. It doesn't matter if you're selling a product, a service, all of it. Like, you're affecting a human. I mean, I was thinking about the other day, looking at all the arguments people could say, because say, oh, maybe I work with animals, I'm a veterinary. Well, no, you don't, because those animals have owners, so you're still working with humans, unless you're working with wildlife, and maybe that's 1% of the population, probably even less than that. I don't even know what the stat would be, but we're all in business to work with people.
So true.
And I just was, about a month ago, I was working with a real estate firm, and the broker had set up this new marketing plan, and he was spending significant money, like 5 figures, in a marketplace for about 3 months, 4 months, and hadn't closed one escrow. And he's like freaking out. And it was like a newer team that he had gathered to pull this off. And so he brought his team in for 2 hours to sit with me. And then he's sitting there, and the first thing I said, I'm like, welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. I said, okay, the first thing you're going to learn today right now, stop selling houses. Stop selling houses. And you should have saw the broker's face. He started to look a little weird.
He's like, oh, what did I get myself into?
This guy, what the heck is he teaching them? And then I said, you're in the human business. It's all about relationships. Like, if somebody knows they want to buy a house or sell a house, great. But now you have a ton of competition out there, and how are they going to choose you? It's not going to be because how you can sell a house or how you know how to fill out the paperwork, or some of those things are going to matter. I'm not totally alleviating capability, but I guarantee you could actually even have less capability than a competitor and win because you built the relationship.
It's so true. I mean, people, we always say, and one of my companies is people work with people they like.
Yeah.
And if you can connect with them and add value to their life in a very genuine and authentic way, when it comes up against you versus someone else who's not doing that, and you pair that with an actual great skill set, that's a formula for success right there, at least when you're talking about sales. But it is true. I mean, it's a relationship business no matter what you're doing. And one of the byproducts of our company is we're building relationships, and we just happen to sell homes or buy homes or whatever it may be. But it's a total people business and industry that's the world nowadays. Is people are working with people they like. What are one of the mistakes that you see a lot of business owners or people building their brand making right now?
Well, I think it's almost in thread with what we're talking about. They get caught up in two things. One, they get caught up in making money to survive, and I understand it, because if you don't make money, your business is going to fail, right? And so you get caught in that. And then two, they're constantly pitching. Hey, here's what I do. 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 And then some more. Here's what I do. Right.
Right.
And so that causes a lot of trouble. And one of the things, like this has been said many times, Zig Ziglar said it, but I always like how John Assaraf said it. I was at dinner with him at his house, and he said, if people really want to be successful, they got to stop worrying about making $1 million and start worrying about giving away $1 million worth of service. If you give $1 million worth of service away, it's going to come back. And the way Zig Ziglar said it was, if you help enough people have what they want, then you're gonna have all of what you want. It's that same concept, and it comes back to what we're talking about right now. It's the human experience. The best way that I exploded my business was by making relationships. Just even one quick story is that I was with $1 billion company, and when I had my ad agency, we were only 11 employees at the peak. And we're tiny, and I was going to these $1 billion companies competing with other $1 billion ad agencies, with thousands of employees, offices all around the world. And we won quite a few deals, enough for us to have a successful business. And I'll tell you, all of it was because I built relationships. Like, I remember this one story. I was in Dallas, Texas, working with a huge $1 billion company, and I knew the competition. They had revealed it to me, and one of them was like 100-year-old ad agency that did the U.S. Navy, Ford, Kaiser Permanente, like all big deals, right? And I go in, and he says, "Go ahead, plug your laptop in right there. There's the plug." And I paused, and he was looking at his phone, and I said, I'm actually not going to plug in right now. He's like, "What? You don't have anything to show?" He's like almost insulted, like, what a waste of my time, because every other ad agency comes in and makes a song and dance and shows off all
Right.
their wherewithal. And I was like, you know what? I have stuff to show you. Absolutely, I can show you some stuff. But I don't know what's appropriate to show you. Like, first I need to know, like, what is the deep challenge here, and what is your big goal, so that I can best address that. And this is a guy in Dallas, Texas. He's like total man's man, like, cowboy type. And the only reason I bring that up is not someone that would get emotional, right? He was total, your American man's man. And in that meeting, I got so deep with him because I connected with him like a human being, like a brother. And he cried in that meeting because
Wow.
how bad things were, and he didn't reveal that to anyone else. And then I beat out all the other ad agencies because I was his brother. And then we exploded the campaign for him. And he even got another job offer at an even bigger company. And guess what? He brought me with him.
Of course.
Because he's my brother now. Like this, that. So I guess that's the epitome of it. If you focus on the relationships, like, you'll change your whole business. And that was a mistake I made. I used to be that guy. I used to pitch, and I was really bad at it. And then finally I did it enough that, I was getting to like 1 out of 10. So if I met with 10 people, I'd get a job. And so, you thought, that's really good. If I meet with 100 people, I'll have 10 clients. Woo! Well, now that I'm doing it this way, I can sit with 3 people and have 2 clients. If they're a perfect client, if they're the right ones, which I target, but now I spend way less time seeking clients, and more of them are just coming to me. And when I do have a meeting with them, we're probably going to work together because I'm connecting with them. Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. And as you kind of head into this year with all the knowledge, all the expertise, everything that you're doing, I know you're helping a ton of business owners and entrepreneurs embody what we're talking about today. What are you doing yourself to continue leveling up so you can bring that value back to your clients and the people you're coaching and mentoring and just sharing?
Thank you. Yeah, that's another great question, man. You're really good at this. I've come from filmmaking, so I have all that creative and storytelling skills, and then I learned all the marketing and public relations skills and build my ad agency. And then then I learned how to be a teacher. I had to learn that. So how can I take all of that I know and make it simple so people can do it? And so that was my next step. And now this level up now is that I'm seeing, as I teach people, I can teach business A and business B the same concept, the same strategy that I know work, that have made millions of dollars, and one will do it. So person A will run with it and go kick butt, and person B won't. And it was starting to drive me nuts. I'm like, this is the same thing. So now I've been focusing on the psychology of it, and going into what is the neuro-linguistics programming, like how do we program ourselves from childhood, from family entanglements, like just following what our parents had done, things that are limiting us. And now I've become a master practitioner in that field as well, so that now when I have person B, business B, sitting there, I have the tools to say, wait a minute, time out. What's going on here, and get to the depth, and sometimes it's something that happened when we were a child, sometimes it's other things, but there's things in our mind, our subconscious, that block us. So I'm diving into that. And last year I had the highest percentage of success rate that I've ever had, because I didn't have to let those people go that just couldn't do it. Now I have tools to help them. So it's an amazing next step, and I love it. So yeah.
When you're talking to your clients and people about best mediums or platforms to reach an audience, build a brand, build a public figure, what's your favorite social media platform?
Well, it's a mix. Like for me, I'm kind of diverse, but I have to say LinkedIn and Facebook provide the most for me. Like I get deals and speaking gigs all the time off that.
Do you feel like LinkedIn is more of a professional platform than, say, a share what you had for lunch?
Yeah, it definitely is. Absolutely. And it also gives you the detail. Like if you're seeking, so like from a marketing perspective, if you're seeking a certain type of person, like for me, for many years, and still to this day, I help marketing directors, right? So it's easy to seek out marketing directors because basically everyone's putting their resume out there. Like on Facebook and Instagram and other places, people aren't necessarily putting their whole resume. But if you look at LinkedIn, it's like a virtual resume. So you can really seek out your perfect client pretty well in the B2B space. So if you're a business to business, absolutely LinkedIn is going to be your space for sure.
Yeah, I've seen that too. I feel like it is more of that business to business, whereas I know Instagram is great for helping people engage through pictures, and have you tapped in at all to Snapchat or Periscope or any of those kind of live feeds where you can build that immediate rapport with your followers?
So Periscope, we're just on the edges of. I'm a little late on that one, but I did. I am partaking. I've been on a couple other Periscope interviews, and I'm going to start because I already have my own show too. So I'm going to start broadcasting some of those parallel on Periscope this year. And then Snapchat, I haven't really dove into at all. I have been on Instagram and had some success, and I can put more attention to that this year. And we're working on that, putting more attention on these. I think for me, it does come back to one thing. It's the human experience. So, one thing one, you could be in all of those. It's like another phone number, another direction. But what I would always tell people is look at your perfect client. Remember what I said. Ask them what they want, but also you can ask them, where do they hang out? So you can find out, hey, everyone, all of my perfect clients are all on Facebook. Okay, that's where I should put my attention. So, just ask them. And because I work with so many diverse companies, I find myself a little bit more spread across all of them. But for some of my clients, it's very clear when we ask their perfect client what they do, they tell us, and then they can focus on one social media or two social media platforms and be very, very successful. So if you don't know, here I am, I can't tell you, oh, Facebook's the best. Actually, I don't know because I don't know your client. So the best thing I would tell all of you listening is go ask. Find your perfect client, the client you love, and say, hey, what do you do on social media? What events do you hang out at? What groups are you in? And then go there. That's the place to go.
Great advice. I love it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite app on your phone right now?
My favorite app? That is my number one thing that I use on my phone is text messaging and my calendar. So, it's not, you think, okay, get a crazy app, but I love that this phone allows me to make calls, manage all of my schedule, and it's a personal assistant to me. Even that's why when these originally came out, they call it a PDA, right? Like a personal digital assistant, and that's what it really is. It beeps at me and tells me my next meeting, my next thing to do. So I think those are the most important ones. I've been really having fun with Duolingo, learning foreign languages.
Nice.
And I've been doing Italian with my son, so that's been a lot of fun. And then I also use fitness apps. Someone I worked with in the past is Gain Fitness, and I utilize that because I can set up a workout from 5 minutes to 90 minutes with equipment or without equipment. So I can always get a workout in every morning before I hit the shower. So I think those are kind of my top. It's hard for me to say one in particular.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so I got a few last questions for you, and we'll fly through these.
Okay.
What's one place you're traveling to this year that you're excited about?
I am excited about going to Europe. So I have in all my travels, I've been in Asia Pacific. I've been to South America. I've been around a lot of North America. I've done road trips and everything around the United States and into Canada. Spent time in Mexico. I have not been to Europe yet.
Nice.
And I'm Italian descent, so and I have family in Italy that I know. They've come and seen me. I've been in contact with them. So being able to go there is going to be a big deal. So, and I think we're going to do the first trip. We're going to hit multiple cities. So we'll probably hit London, Paris, and then Italy. So
dude, that's going to be epic. I can't wait to hear about that one.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
What's the last book you picked up?
The book that right now I picked up Tribe, actually, because I was talking about Seth Godin, so I'm reading that right now. All about how many of us are leading, but how many are truly leading, or how many people are sitting back and they're not leading at all. It's just really talking about leadership and how more people are leaders than they think, and how people are even not calling themselves a leader for whatever reason when they really should be. They really should embrace their leadership qualities. And so I think, that's the one that I'm on right now. So, yeah.
How often do you hug, high five, or say hi to a stranger?
Every day. All the time.
I was going to say, that's got to be a multiple times a day thing for you, knowing you.
Absolutely. I hug everyone. And then even when I first meet them and I hug them and they look at me weird, I say, I'm Italian. I hug everyone. So I use that as an excuse. But really, this is human. Everybody needs a hug. Let's just, love one another more and life will be better. So I hug everyone, Matt. Everybody. If you come around me, you're probably going to get a hug.
Hey, I'd take chest to chest gladly, my friend.
Every day, brother.
What's one thing you want to leave the One Life community with in order to inspire or ignite action in their lives?
The biggest thing I could say is, the number one thing, if I were to give one thing away, and I've been asked this by youth, they told me, what are 2 words that you would tell your younger self? If I could go back to high school and tell myself 2 words, what would it be? It's get mentors. Get mentors. So the trick is, whatever you want to do in this life, whatever your dream is, find someone else that's done it or something as close to what you want, because maybe you have new ideas about something, but find someone that's done something as close to what you have as possible and get to them. Like, find a way to get a hold of that person and work for free, like do whatever you have to do, pay them, like whatever you have to do to just get in their space. It will change your life forever. And even if it's a star, if it's like a big person, there is a way to get there if you really put your attention on it. I've had people that I've pushed a little bit, and they've gotten to like a star, a celebrity, because they put their attention in. It really is 7 degrees of separation at the most. Like, that whole Kevin Bacon thing that went around many years ago. If you put your attention to it, you can find a way. So get a mentor, find the person that's going to take you there, and that will help you through all your adversity and everything. Like, it's just just listening to this podcast. I mean, I think this gives you a lot of what that is. So,
Steve, brother, you are the man. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to add value to the One Life community. I know there's been some amazing stuff you've shared today, and we are grateful to have you involved in this community and to also be speaking and sharing with us. So I want to acknowledge you for all the amazing stuff that you're doing out in the world, how you live your life on a daily basis. It's definitely an inspiration to me, and I know to many others. So how can we get a hold of you outside of this podcast? And obviously we'll be posting links and stuff in the show notes, but where can people connect with you outside of the podcast?
Well, we'll post the links, but I mean, I do connect up. I have an assistant, but I also read and respond to my social media. So, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you get me. And you can get to all of those through my website at stevenapolitan.com. That's Steve, S-T-E-V-E, Napolitan, Napolitan.com. And you can get there. You'll see stuff about the book and my client capture course and all the things that, and I give a lot of gifts. So when you go there, you end up getting a lot of love and more hugs, Matt.
I love it, brother.
So, yeah.
Cheers, and we'll be talking to you soon.
All right, take care, Matt. Thank you so much.
Hey, guys, just want to drop you a quick note here. We have our upcoming conference in Pennsylvania, May 21st and 22nd. Space is limited, though, so be sure to head over to onelifefullylived.org and register today. Can't wait to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you haven't already, please be sure to join our Facebook page at the One Life Community, or you can check us out at onelifefullylived.org. There'll be information about upcoming events, podcast guests, and some great tools and resources for you guys on there that you will not want to miss out on. Now go out, make the best of your day, and live your life fully lived.
Don't you take the day for granted. Gotta live life fully every day. Someday you'll be gone. What will you have done?